The Biden administration is possibly reforming a federal office to shield U.S. public opinion from the perceived threat of foreign disinformation, though perhaps they are leaving the drama kids out of running it this time, like Nina Jankowicz. The new Foreign Malign Influence Center, which is being quietly launched, is the second iteration of the previously formed Disinformation Governance Board, which the Department of Homeland Security scrapped after public backlash. Some call the office an Orwellian Ministry of Truth, and even the Biden administration had to stop the project, at least until now it appears. Congress tasked the center with protecting political, military, economic, or other policies and activities of federal, state, and local governments, which includes safeguarding U.S. elections from foreign interference and protecting domestic public opinion. The agency is mostly focused on China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, but as we've seen previously, the national security state will use those tools to silence certain domestic voices to advance its own agenda, like we saw with the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. This is a big threat to protecting free speech here in the U.S., especially as American entities like USAID establish supposedly independent media outlets in places like Hungary in order to peddle influence in democracies around the world. So that brings us to our next guest, who spoke about American and European approaches to free speech and big tech censorship at the recent CPAC conference in Hungary. So joining us now to discuss is Josh Hammer, an opinion editor for Newsweek. Josh, thanks for being here tonight.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Great. So first things first, tell us about your panel in Hungary, which hit some similar themes, it appears.
Yeah, plenty of similar themes. So yes, this is CPAC's second straight year going to the heart of continental Europe. CPAC Hungary launched last year. You know, the nation of Hungary is interesting, right? Insofar as MSNBC, New York Times crowd, they typically paint it as a bunch of kind of backwater yahoos, these authoritarian right-wing Christians and all of that. It's actually a beautiful place. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time in Budapest. So this panel, so there were three of us. There was one moderator and any number of great notable Americans there. But yeah, we were basically kind of getting into it when it comes to the threat of misinformation, malinformation, disinformation. You know, that abbreviation MDM for mis, dis, and mal is what so many kind of the ruling class now use as a pretext to clamp down on dissident information, on conservative kind of counter-regime information. And that was kind of my kind of point on the panel. So I had one radio host who was next to me who was, I think, a little more mainstream. And I was basically trying to say that, no, as the case may be, America is very quickly becoming Europe, is very quickly becoming European, notwithstanding the fact that we have a First Amendment, they don't. And that's a very dangerous thing. And, you know, when it comes to the so-called Disinformation Governance Board and, you know, this Frankenstein monster of a Disinformation Governance Board 2.0, as it appears we are now getting, when it comes to that, again, we are really, really rapidly approaching European levels of hate speech and misinformation. And that's not going to end well for anyone involved.
No, you're exactly right. And I know Samantha Powers, she was just in Hungary as well, but for very different reasons, exactly what you were laying out. You know, some, if you ask those in Libya, might call her one of the queens that we've had of regime change. So that doesn't, speak to anything good. Basically, the national security state that we have is now more overt, what they've been doing covertly for quite a while, which is the shaping of information basically around the world. They do it at home as well. So we see that with the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, with the letter, and now of course it seems like some of them are maybe eating each other. The Governance Disinformation Board 2.0. And it's very interesting that this new iteration of it is coming in so quietly. That's something Just the News flagged. It reminds me of how the NSA was born back in the early 50s, that the original memo for it is only about 8 pages, but that's still to this day, decades later, you can't read it. It's still top secret. So it was kind of born in secrecy, and it has such immense powers. And most people don't think of it. We think CIA, FBI, DOJ, but the NSA does a lot as well behind the scenes. And so what kind of worries me is this board came in a lot quieter than it did the first time. Do you think maybe that kind of shows that the administration, national security state, they mean business this time?
Maybe. I mean, let's hope not. I mean, look, the NSA, which you mentioned there, I mean, it was the NSA that was at the epicenter of the Edward Snowden scandal a decade ago. So the NSA is definitely not an innocent actor here. They are very much kind of in it along with the FBI and various other of these intelligence community and national security state apparatus agencies that have now been kind of thoroughly corrupted and weaponized by the ruling class and the ruling party, which is the Democratic Party.